The views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
The Beneficent, the Merciful. I'm Sister Charlene Muhammad. That means peace be unto you. Welcome to another edition of Liberated Sisters, recorded live right here at Morris Media Studios. Today we have a great show, as promised, when Sister Charlene Muhammad and I were here talking about the Sisters Marketplace and also the fact that 6 black women had been killed over the Thanksgiving break within a span of 1 week. I promised to bring experts back to talk about what's happening, why black men are killing black women. I also promised to bring an all-male panel. And next week or the week after, we're going to have some brothers here to talk about their sentiments on the root causes of this, as well as self-defense dialogue for the sisters. But before we get into the show, I want to get into the Justice Report. We'll be coming back with Project Peacemakers. We'll be back. In today's Justice Report, we're going to come, as you know, right out of the Final Call newspaper. It has hit the streets, and also Final Call Digital. You can get your copy right now. Look at that. Liars, liars. This is happening. Man, this administration is exploding. President Donald Trump, this article by Brother Askia Muhammad delves into the lies and the controversy surrounding the Trump White House. Also in this issue of the Final Call, I want to highlight some of the coverage on women as we are talking about domestic violence. We're going to also talk about the respect, protection, and elevation of the black female. So shout out to Sister Nilam Hakim. We discussed it last week and she was absolutely right. As I knew, the Final Call newspaper features her in this edition, taking hip-hop modesty and imagery to a new level. That is in this week's Final Call newspaper, as well as congratulations to Sister Audrey Muhammad, our beautiful sister, publisher and editor of Virtue Magazine. Virtue Magazine is a powerful tool to uplift the woman, and it celebrates 15 years of Virtue Magazine. Sister Audrey is on a tour. You can contact her through her social media sites to book her for that. And as well, we have Defending Farrakhan. As you know, we haven't left that. That's all day, every day. A nation can rise no higher than its women. There's a beautiful shot of some of our babies. Oh my gosh, I didn't give this to our engineer, and that's my bad. But also, I want you to go to the Final Call and look at it. Final Call Digital Edition. We have Sister Janiyah, Sister Yasmin, Sister Shariah, Sister Mariam, and Sister Sakina of Mosque number 29 in Miami. And these young vanguard ages 16 to 35 went out in the community, spending time giving out the Final Call newspaper and distributing food and clothes to residents. And so that's the Justice Report segment from the Final Call newspaper. And now we want to bring in my brother, John Parker, to talk about a new newspaper that has hit the scene on yesterday. Brother John?
Hi, Sister Charlene.
Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Good. Thank you for coming on to Liberated Sisters, and thank you for sending me the alert yesterday about the International Action Center's newspaper. Tell us about it. What's the name of it, and how did it come about?
Well, this newspaper is coming from the Harry Tubman Center for Social Justice.
Okay.
So a lot of the folks that work around that, and the International Action Center and other things, longtime activists. Well, I got to tell you what the inspiration was.
Thank you.
Part of the inspiration is, I often like to read The Final Call.
Come on now.
It's a publication that puts social justice at the forefront.
Thank you.
And so we're a grouping of longtime activists who believe that there needs to be a publication that can be an organizing tool for social justice and dedicated to working in poor people. So it's a paper that not only exposes who our main enemies are, but also exposes how the private ownership of the major industries of production, whether they be in healthcare, manufacturing, or energy production, how it determines how many jobs we have, or whether our children can be fed, or how warm our planet gets. So we're trying to provide activists with the information necessary, the tools necessary to fight back against that misinformation and racism and sexism that comes out of the corporate media, which is paid for, of course, by the super rich, just like they pay for our politicians.
That's right. That's right. How can people access the newspaper?
There is our website. Oh, I'm so unprepared.
It's okay.
If you Google
Me too.
struggle, right? If you Google struggle for socialism, it should come up. It's Struggle La Lucha, and I'm looking for the URL, and I'm looking, and I don't see it yet. But
there it is. I have it, John. It's struggle-la, L-A dash lucha, LUCHA.org.
Yes, that's
Struggle for Socialism.
Yeah, and it's where we want to highlight the things that especially hurt folks, and like you were saying, there's like what the Final Call, the issue right now. You're talking about lies. It's so they just keep the truth away from us, and especially the truth about how powerful we can be as a force working in poor people together. Yeah. And so we're fighting against especially racism, which is their main tool to keep us divided. Same way they use sexism and all the other rhetoric against LGBTQ rhetoric, all the rhetoric to keep us divided and fighting each other, so that we don't fight the real enemy.
Yeah.
And, we want to especially unite black and brown people and the people whose land we reside on, which was stolen from the indigenous people here in the U.S.
Thank you.
We're so proud to be, hopefully we can share articles and with the Final Call and other things like that. And it's so great to be associated with you. You are yourself also a longtime activist and things like that. So we're going to keep on fighting. And
thank you.
One of the ways to do it.
Thank you. And before we go, I want to say to everyone, it looks good. I mean, the site is clear, it's clean, it's crisp. Caravan brings people's aid, solidarity to refugees trapped at border. As repression grows at border, so does solidarity. Missing and murdered indigenous women, girls, and two-spirit people. I got to talk to you about that. I need to really speak about our sisters, our indigenous sisters who are missing and murdered. That is really critical. All of it. The Caravan brings people's aid, solidarity to refugees. We got that. As repression, we got that. What's the matter with GE? GE had $122 billion in revenues last year, but in June it was kicked off the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and then this means a lot of different hardships for workers. I want to say also, didn't we see that a few weeks ago with General Motors just came in and let all those people go? It's like, come on.
Like 14,000 or something people have let go. And the stock market, like last week, has been tanking. And this is all related to all things going on. It's a global thing.
Yeah, grown men and women just crying. That reminds me, though, of the message and the warning, the consistent message of Minister Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to do for self. I started doing for self when I worked for an attorney. I would get upset with this attorney. I thought he was abusive. I'd quit every other day. And then one day I was like, one day you won't be able to just quit. This won't be here. So you better, I go back and forth, but figure out, do something for yourself. But all of these corporations, they're not. They're either, what, John, going overseas, for cheaper labor, or they're just not able to handle it. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say that we have the numbers coming out soon. Minister Farrakhan promised them, and so you better believe when he says he'll release them, he'll release them. The statistics from the impact of Justice or Else. Down with Santa, up with Jesus. Up with Jesus, down with Santa. We have the Christmas boycott, the black boycott still going on. As he says, you don't need these Christmas trees and spend all this lavish money. As a matter of fact, what you could do with your money is put an act of kindness on it and send Struggle La Lucha to somebody. Subscribe to the Final Call for someone. Right, John?
Oh, that sounds beautiful. That sounds like a great Christmas. Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, winter solstice, whatever you
all year long. You just don't even need a reason. Yeah, don't need a reason to be kind. Well, John Parker, thank you so much. I was really elated to see this. Whenever we can have our own media, such as we are right here at Morris Media Studios, it's a beautiful day. Beautiful day. Congratulations on that.
And thank you so much. Charlene, have a lovely day.
You're welcome. You too. Assalamu alaikum. We're going to turn now. So that was John Parker. I've been knowing John Parker a long time. Again, as I said with many people, when I hit the ground here in L.A. and started learning, as I'm still learning how to write and be a journalist, he was there. So thank you, John. I want to now turn to our guest in studio, Project Peacemakers. We're going to dig into this domestic violence issue. What is causing it? My daughter told me about how young girls are giving out fake names and numbers, just responding affirmatively just so that they won't get shot. Look, I used to party, and me and my girlfriends, and it's not me, it goes back, aunties, mom, grandmother, would give a name, they would give a name. It's not something that's uncommon, but the reason is different. They don't want to be shot on sight. Historically, it was, we don't want to be bothered, don't call me, just give me a name, right? But we don't want to be shot on sight. When she told me that, I really was sad about it. So let's welcome Ms. Bernita Waqlker and Sister Amirah Behaar, both of them sisters, but these are some beautiful women who are doing work, and they're with Project Peacemakers, and they're here to help us dispel myths and rumors about domestic violence, but also take any questions or concerns you have about it. If you're struggling, we want to bring this information to you, and there is help. Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, sisters.
Wa alaikum salam, Sister Charlene. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. Thank you both for being here. I'm really excited. The call-in number is 323-293-3375, 323-293-3375. First, I want to ask you, Miss Bernita Waqlker. She's Executive Director of Project Peacemakers. Actually, before I ask her the question, I want to say how I found her. I had seen her, known her, covered an event where she was before, but after the other show with Sister Charlene and I talking about the women, and I realized I was really, aside from giving out information, I wanted the guests to have detailed information and hear from experts who are working in the trenches on this. That's not what I do. I cover this in the trenches, but they are working day to day with those impacted and affected. And so Miss Amirah, I called her because we have something coming up that we're going to be working on. She's just a staunch advocate for the sisters, and then she let me know about Miss Bernita, and I was like, I know about Miss Bernita, but this is how we got here. So thank you, Miss Amirah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And we're going to keep going. Go ahead, Miss Amirah.
No, thank you, Sister Charlene. It's a pleasure hearing about Project Peacemakers from my dear friend, Toni Watson.
Yes.
Okay, so Toni Watson and I have worked with people in the streets, even, passing out things that people need. So she told me about Miss Waqlker, and come to find out, Miss Waqlker and I have shared venues. We didn't know each other actually, but anyway, we're here and we want to continue this work in the community.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And thank you so much for having us.
Oh, to God be the glory. All praises due to Allah. This platform is for the people. All of them. I think what we'll do, I wanted to put Toni on at 10:30, but we can call her sooner, or we'll put her on at 10:30 and have her stay on as long as she. Oh, you know what? No, we want to take calls. So, Miss Waqlker, Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be here. Thank you for turning attention to the issue of domestic violence, because most individuals don't understand what domestic violence is about. They think if I'm not being hit, then I'm not being abused. And usually hitting is the last part of it. There are a number of things that women go through before that, or victims go through, because all victims are not women. There are some men that are victims as well. A lot more than we know about, of course, because the brother's not going to tell us.
They won't say anything.
The brother's not going to tell us.
Yeah.
Okay? So the real issue in domestic violence is our children, because we are products of our environment and we only know what we've been exposed to. If that exposure is negative and dehumanizing, then we're going to end up people that do that same type of actions toward those around us, those that we claim we love, because all we've heard people say is, shut up, I love you, and then they hit you. And that's not real. If you love somebody, love does not hurt. Wow. So there's a lot of things that need to be cleared up as far as getting involved. I had shared with you earlier that I was going to wear my T-shirt that says "Save Black Boys," and the premise behind that is, for me, my mantra of it is that if we save black boys, then we bless black women.
That's right.
Because again, if we train them the right way, there's a documentary that's called "Violence: An American Institution." Wow. And it was done back in 1995. And it's talking about the violence from the beginning until 1995. Dr. Cornel West is one of the speakers in it. Wow. As well as there's some more that I can't call their names out right now. Yeah. But it's chronicling the violence movement in the United States. And the things that we're doing right now is the same things that they were talking about back in 1995. And there was a statement that was made in there by Dr. Cornel West that said, if we don't take care of this situation now, then we have a picture. Now, I'm not quoting him exactly, but we have a picture of what's coming in our future. Wow. And that's where we are right now.
Wow. Wow. Ms. Amirah? Thank you.
I agree with the Sister Bernita. It starts with the young men, and the earlier the better. But with this climate, the violence and all the things that are happening from homes, the police, everywhere, it's just a mean spirit seems to be moving through the land that wants to hurt. People want to hurt each other. Yeah. But I do believe that mothers, fathers, and the whole family, the whole village, all of our community needs to get involved with this situation. And Sister Bernita's program, I understand it's an excellent program, and I'm just encouraging mothers to make contact with her if there's a problem at home. Fathers, if you know that you're an abuser, and men know when they are abusing. Okay? Just recognize it, own up to it, and do something about it.
Yeah, do something
about it. Because you're destroying your home. You're destroying your life, and you're destroying your community. Exactly. So please reach out and get help.
Reach out and get help. Domestic violence prevention, education. So you have relationship management, legal advocacy, crisis counseling, parenting support groups, anger management, restraining orders. I'm going to start at the bottom of the list with these restraining orders. Okay. Sometimes when I see reports, hear reports, write reports, when they've gotten the restraining order, that's when it's a wrap. It appears that the perpetrator will stop at nothing to get to the person and kill them. Once that restraining order comes in. I don't want to say it's not effective. I don't know. I've never had to have one. I haven't been on the other end of one. But what is your sentiment about restraining orders and how effective they are?
They're effective limitly. Let me put it that way. Because it's still a piece of paper. And so when someone gets it, they tear it up and they think, well, I've gotten rid of it, so I don't have to abide by it any longer. Okay?
Good point.
Then there's others who, when they get it, they are enraged that you would dare go to the court system on me to stop me from doing what I think I'm doing right. Wow. Because if you hadn't have did so-and-so, then I wouldn't have had to hit you in the first place. I wouldn't have had to punish you or restrict you in the first place. And that's a misconception.
Yeah.
Restraining orders are to protect the family, but they have to be used in the proper fashion. When you get one, you just can't take it and put it in the person's face and say, I have a restraining order. That's not the way it goes. You still have to take steps to put yourself in a protective location.
Yeah.
Okay? Not some place that the abuser knows where you are, or knows the family member, or knows the friend's location, but somewhere else. That's why shelters are, the problem with shelters, though, is that there are only approximately 465 emergency beds.
How many?
465 emergency beds in the county of Los Angeles. The last 3 years, we have had over 48,000 911 domestic violence calls. So you can see that putting women in shelters or victims in shelters is not the answer to the problem. The answer to the problem is stopping the problem before it begins.
How many calls?
Over 48,000.
Go ahead, stopping the problem before it begins. I'm back with you.
Stopping the problem before it begins. How do we do that? We learn, first of all, to love ourselves. That's one of the big problems with young women. They don't love themselves, and they're looking for love outside. They're looking for love everywhere, in the wrong place, in the wrong person. They have not had a good example of love on TV. If you remember when we were, well, not you, but when you remember when we were younger, like the I Love Lucy show.
I remember Lucy. I watched Lucy.
Okay. You never saw Ricky and Lucy in the same bed.
Twin beds, baby.
That's
and
right.
you always saw them with pajamas on.
That's right.
Okay? But now, I don't have to say anything.
You don't.
So it's not kept as pure as it should be. Now, I'm not saying that's what we do with our husbands. I mean, naturally we get into bed with our husband things. But the understanding of what love is mislabeled by our children, by the young girls.
They have help. They have help, right? We live in a culture where we've gone beyond being called names in film, television, movies, music, whatever. It's now very descriptive about what I'm going to do to you, want to do to you, and there's nothing's done about it.
Exactly.
Right down to the abuse. So someone just put, Angela Birdsong just put hypersexualization. Did you all see as we speak about domestic violence and we continue dealing with the internal problem, we have the external problem as well, where, did you all see, I think it's Jasmine Haley in New York. There was not a place for her to sit on the floor at this social service place.
Yes.
And so she sat on the floor. The security guard said she couldn't with her 1-year-old baby.
Yes.
And there's a video out where this officer is snatching, and he looks like a rabid dog, a rabid dog, the way he's jerking. He's really... It was he's. I don't care if I die today. I'm getting that baby. That's what I felt was in the spirit.
Rage and the hatred in his movements. You could just see it.
Yeah, it was just like
the
a baby,
violence,
like a rag doll.
And this is what women have been subjected to by your own and by the police as well. The system's victimized women. Yeah, especially black women and women of color. Yeah, we're victimized.
The thing that bothered me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But the thing that bothered me about that in particular is that there was a sister officer.
You saw her that Brandy said taser? Was that the one? Because one, that wasn't her. Maybe it was another one down there.
There was a sister officer that was there assisting and trying to get her up or take the baby away. That disturbed me. Okay? Because I still didn't understand why they had to go through those types of actions and then charge her.
She's in jail.
Took her to Rikers Island.
Yeah. Last I heard, she's in prison. She's in prison. Oh, and in there on an unrelated charge. The sad thing is, it's like this is a social service agency. So, but again, just the tug of war with her. Our prayers are out with you, sister. And whatever help you went there for, that you get it, but that you get released right away. But I wanted to bring that up to say that, again, we have the video. which is the so-called evidence. But I was telling my husband as I watched it, he kept saying, "Why are you getting upset?" Because my jaw just started tensing up. I said, "Because we're just recording. No one's taking action on her behalf.
No one was helping her.
No one." So this is what we have here. This is what we have. The call-in number is 323-293-3375, 293-3375. I want to ask, how did your organization start?
Well, I'm also the co-founder of Genesee Center. It's the first shelter in South Los Angeles.
You just sprinkling love everywhere?
God is good, and He gave me a purpose, and I'm following through. And people ask me all the time, "When you gonna stop? When I die?" When they roll me down in front of the church,
we don't quit post.
Then it's not gonna be through, because when they do my obituary, you're gonna see that all in there, so it'll still go. But at any rate, I was with Genesee Center. As I said, I was a co-founder, and I was there for my first 15 years in the field of domestic violence. And as I shared that other statistic with you about the 465 beds,
it's crazy.
The God shared with me, okay, I want you to move. There was a little tiff between me and the board of directors. I'll be perfectly honest. They wanted me to spend 80% of my time in the office. And I told them 60% was what I could do, because all the meetings and things that we need to attend to show ourselves active in the community to be able to address these issues of domestic violence.
Yeah.
So at any rate,
work in the streets.
They said I had a choice of 80 or 60. I said, I'll tell you what my choice is. I'll retire. I'll resign. I'll resign within 30 days. And that's what I did. So I resigned from there on the 24th of May and started Project Peacemakers on the 25th of May.
Wow.
Because I was spoken to and saying, you're only working with 3 to 4% of the women in the shelter program. What about my other 96 to 97%? What are you going to do about those women? And I said, I hear you, Lord. And so that's how Project Peacemakers got started. Because for me, there is no races. There's one race, the human race. And we are all connected. One way or the other. As the brother spoke about the indigenous people, as you spoke about the indigenous people, I'm one of those indigenous people in that I am Cherokee. Okay?
Yes,
and I'm also African American. So we have been going through these types of sufferings all of our lives.
Hundreds of years.
Hundreds. But that's how That's how Project Peacemakers, and the reason why it's called Project Peacemakers is because in Matthew the 5th chapter it says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God."
Beautiful.
And that's the reality of it. You know, we have to recognize who we are and whose we are,
and only we
can
heal our community.
That's it. And we have to work together.
We have the teachers. The teachers have been sent
exactly
one after another.
Exactly. It's just like what John was saying, that we have to work with the black and brown communities, so that, because we're all the same. Again, there's only one human race. So that's who we work with. Primarily. I mean, we have other ethnicities that come into our program, but those are our basic ones, because we're right here in South Los Angeles.
Right here.
We've always been in South Los Angeles. I refuse to leave from South Los Angeles. Why should I go somewhere else to do what needs to be done here?
Right here.
The work is here.
And we're growing. We see the numbers of those impacted just growing as times get harder. Jobs are more scarce. Housing is less affordable. I want to give you some comments as we get ready to bring in Miss Toni Watson. Precious Jackson, thank you all for tuning in, and thank you for your comments on Facebook. This is why we as quote unquote woke African women need to stand up for our sisters who feel they don't have a voice or have a choice. Kosum Akbar, Assalamu alaikum, Sister Kosum. She says, how can anyone think that they are not involved in this issue? We need to make the question like, how are you today? How are people treating you today? See, those are some acts of kindness questions, but also go in addition to that, what if they tell you, I'm not okay, I have no place to sleep? Then we need to be armed with resources to say, here's where you can go, because sometimes if we can't serve the need, then we dredge it up. We dredge it up. What's happening with our unhoused, homeless population and the abuse there?
A lot of the women and children that are in the homeless situation are running from domestic violence households. So they have no place to go. As a matter of fact, just this last weekend, young lady, I think she's 26, I'm not
26.
sure. She's 26. She was beaten by her boyfriend, the man she was living with, and his son.
What you say now?
And his son. Don't know how old the son was, but beaten by the two of them. She had some fractured ribs. She had some other injuries to her body, and she slept in her car trying to find a place. And her aunt contacted me so I could try to do something. You know what? It's hard for us to do, to place everyone that contacts us for housing.
Yes,
so we send them to places like Hopix on Broadway, Path on Washington. There are places that we can send them, but they're full now. So the problem, and I live in an area where the Grand Avenue is always being brought up, 54th and Grand Avenue, the homeless that are living there. And we're constantly approaching our council person on trying to rectify that situation. And the response is not as favorable as we would like for it to be.
Who's that? She's not saying. But just look up that district. Go ahead.
All of them.
I understand.
All of them is South Los Angeles.
But we got the soccer stadium, though.
Okay.
Maybe we can fill that up.
But it has no cover.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, go ahead, sister.
I live right down the street from it. It has no cover. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So, but there are buildings that the city owns. It's on city land that are vacant. Something could be done there. It's going to cost money, yes, but use what we have in trying to rectify this situation of the people that are living on the street. Now, some people want to live out there because they have no rules and regulations.
Some people don't.
Okay,
You're right.
Okay, but those who don't want to live out there, especially the women with their children, or the families that are out there. There are families out there.
Yeah. Absolutely. I've seen that. Yes, increasingly. Right. It's correct. And the city is rich. It's Los Angeles. It's a disgrace.
Well, they've got some billions of dollars, I don't remember the exact amount, to do something about the homeless situation. They are working on it, and of course it takes time. But in the meanwhile, there are places that I know of where they had the winter, what do they call it, cold weather stations.
Cold weather shelters,
that are not operating right now. I know it's not cold enough for them to operate, but it's cold enough for them to operate to help those who are on the street to start getting this together. You know, we have to think about. Just saw something. I'm on Neighborhood Watch, the Neighborhood Next Door program.
Okay,
it's an app that you can put
app.
on.
Sister Jasmine Koenig talks about it a lot.
Yes, and it keeps you connected with the area where you live and what's going on, and you're able to share as well as get information. And I think that, as we use these types of things more and as we come together more, we've elected individuals who are not doing the work that should be. Well, as far as we know, we don't see it being done. Okay? So when we don't see it being done, then we can't say it is being done. So there's some things that need to be done for everybody, not just one particular ethnicity in the areas that we live in.
Yes, and we're going to take a call and hold those that are elected accountable. People can't say, great, thank you, you came out, or we came out, we voted for you, and they go into office and that's it. Next year comes around, we'll see you again. Right. Let's take a call. You're on the air. Thanks for calling Liberated Sisters.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, this is Toni Watson, and I'm...
No, this is our caller.
Hi,
this
Toni.
is our caller. I guess. How are you, Sister Toni?
I don't know. So am I on hold?
No, you're wide open on the mic.
You know, I was just listening to Miss Amirah and Bernita, and I agree wholeheartedly. And I don't know if domestic violence or is deemed important enough for people to stop and think how impacts the entire society. It's not just the folks that maybe you see living on the street that are more vulnerable. It impacts how we are perceived, how we can have people homeless. And the story Miss Bernita just shared a couple months ago, I was walking down the street and I saw this young man just pick up this young girl and throw her around like a rag doll. And people just kept walking. And I was just taken aback by how we're so insensitive or desensitized to what happened. And she's a human being.
Yeah. You know, it's the respect, protection of the female. You know what? Can we play the clip? I think I want to just send a message from Minister Farrakhan. He did a radio interview and he was speaking about that. And we consistently speak about that. But it's not a cliche. You know, it's not a cliche. And we'll come back. I mean, there's also things that we can do better and more. But at the end of the day, this beating, this killing of black women, it must stop. It must stop. Let's hear from Minister Farrakhan. And we'll come back with you, Miss Toni, and our guests here.
Of course, no problem.
So no man should disrespect a woman. No man should mistreat a woman. No man should take from a woman what a woman does not want to give. Every man should hold ourselves responsible. Those of us who are fathers, we love our daughters, then love the daughters of your brother and not go in his house to ruin his daughter. Mm-hmm. We just got to grow up.
Yes.
Mature.
Yes.
That's and right. These are the kind of words that will help us to see every woman as a product of God and not to call her out of her name by using the B word, which is a female dog. Mm-hmm. She's not a female dog. She's the second self of God.
Mm. Minister, we know that your
Try
time...
that on.
You know, consistent message, a very consistent message, a very consistent message. You both spoke about it. I want to ask you, Miss Toni, if you could talk about how the training begins in the home.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that. I have a mental health background, and what I see is modeling within the home. Okay, you have a certain structure. And one, if the man is missing from the home, that leaves the family a little more vulnerable. But if the man or the dad is in the home and he is physically lashing out, emotionally lashing out at the mom, the females in the home, it sets a different standard for the males in the home. So again, we have to start walking the walk, not just talking it, and we're to be humble. Strength is not physical necessarily. Strength is being humble and listening, and if it's an issue, don't put your hand out to someone. But basically what I'm saying is if they see this in the home, they're thinking this is normal and maybe this is acceptable.
Yeah, well, Miss Bernita spoke before you came on about a 26-something-year-old girl, young lady, being beaten by her significant other and his son. Yeah, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around the male and then the son. How does that work?
If I may piggyback off of something that Minister Farrakhan said, he kept using the word man. Our problem is that we are surrounded with a lot of boys. They're not men. They're males, but they're not men. Men is a very specific category of individuals who have been trained or have sought to be trained to be that positive protector, provider, lover, caregiver, all of the positive words. But see, when you have boys, they don't know because they haven't been trained. When you have a boy that's 36 years old, they don't know. When you have a boy that's 50 years old, they don't know. It goes up the age. A boy does not just mean that you're under the age of 12.
It's a mentality.
It's a mentality.
It's not a sex organ either. No. Male is not a man. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry, because I couldn't hear.
Oh, okay. Okay, you can check it right here. Right here, Miss Amirah. This is interesting, what you all are sharing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely. And girls and women, we have to have more. Excuse me, I have a frog here I can't get rid of.
Oh, just enjoy your water whenever you want.
We have to teach our girls how important you are.
Yeah.
You know, you're important. You must be respected. You must demand respect.
Yes.
And you can only demand respect when you're respectful and you handle yourself in a respectful way.
Yeah. We have our women's classes every Saturday.
Yes.
Every Saturday at Mosque number 27 and across the Nation of Islam, any city or study where there's a mosque or study group in a major city or a local city that starts it's uniform across the nation, 9:00. So you can
girls training.
Yeah, we have a girls training class, and we have in that some sisters have rites of passages. There's a lot of different skills, and also we go out. You just reach out to that sister in that class, reach out to the sister captain who trains the women in that area, and there's some things where sisters go out to other groups as well. So the bottom line is there's something that can be done about it. But this killing, Miss Toni, how did you get involved with Project Peacemakers?
I think Bernita and I met about 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, where I worked for a nonprofit agency that addressed African American infant mortality, and some of the staff we participated, or they were trained in her 40-hour certification class for domestic violence. And from that, just in speaking with Bernita, understanding this is not a job, this is who she is, and how she presents it, yet for sure it is. Good sister.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, even we may just speak of every so often, she's on my heart because she's doing the work. We're all doing that work, and that's how I met her. I could go on and on and on, but it's like-minded people and people who want to love unconditionally, and that's it.
That's a beautiful thing. I think a lot for you. This is a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I met Toni at a agency that services mothers getting their children out of foster care.
Good job with that.
Yes, we did some good work.
Wow.
And Toni's matter of fact, we had an incident to happen where the funding for a holiday program fell through. So Toni says, we're going to get the money. So we got the money. Of course, with the help of some very, very nice donors. We had a gentleman, and I probably better not say his name. I don't have his permission.
He will get the calls.
When he found out that our funding had fallen through, he reached in his checkbook and he gave us money. And then we were able to get with friends. Toni had about 9 or 10 friends, and we all got together. I had a few friends, so we pulled it together, and the children did not miss a beat. They got everything that they needed.
Good.
Even after the funding fell through. So I'm really proud of Toni as a soldier when it comes to social services.
Yeah. The three of you are. What do you need? What do you all need to further the work that you do?
We need money.
Acts of kindness.
That's it.
This is the acts of kindness moment right here.
We do. We need funding. We need volunteers.
Yes.
Those are the things that we need, because the reason why we need the funding is because we have clients that come to us that are not covered by any contract that we have. And we still want to provide them the services that they need.
Wow.
And we need the funding to do that.
What's the biggest need? They need the funding and they need volunteers. Project Peacemakers, these sisters, Toni Watson on the line, they need funding and resources. What is the biggest need for those that are not covered by the funding that you have? What have you found?
Well, they need the counseling. They need. We have at Project Peacemakers, as you read, we have a number of levels of counseling, and we also do the 52-week child abusers class.
Break that down.
Hello. We are approved by probation. We have been doing it for the last 12 years to provide services or training for child abusers who have been convicted in the court system. So it's mandated 52 weeks. It's not the batterers treatment. We don't do batterers treatment. The batterers treatment, we send them to other facilities like a Coalition for Mental Health Professional, another minority program in South Los Angeles has been doing work for many years. So,
so they deal with the physical.
They deal with the
from a mental health perspective.
That have been
How does that work?
Well, the individuals have been ordered by the court to go through 52 weeks of batterers treatment. And so you have them all over the city. Some of them are great. Some of them are not so great.
Does that include them being mandated to take meds?
No. No. Because, again, going back to my understanding and several of my friends, my co-workers, our understanding of how abusers become abusers is because they've been abused as a child.
I get it.
They've been battered. They've been talked about. They've been, remember those songs, wounded, very wounded. All of that, okay? Yeah. And so they're hurting, and hurting people hurt people. You keep hearing that, but it's true. It's not just something that people are flipping off. It's the reality of it. Wow. So we like to get in there and start working with them so that we can show them there's a better way to love yourself than mandating someone to love you.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Now, Ms. Toni, what's your role at the corporation?
So for Project Peacemakers, I volunteer, and as we know, just co-hosting this event tomorrow, and just trying to not spread the word, but explain. So let me say this: I'm a volunteer at Project Peacemakers. In my everyday walk, I'm a mental health therapist, and I work with many children, foster care ages from 4 to 18. And so if you look at domestic violence or DV, it is connected to mental health. So what I really try to do in this community is connect DV with mental health. And I had just a couple things that people say that we're not supposed to say to folks.
Like what?
There's so many people judging. Why don't you leave? Why?
Exactly.
You should. I told you, but you didn't listen. So part of what God has me handling is to get the word out there and explain to folks, one, we can't judge, and two, just like Bernita said, the people that are victimizing at some point most likely were victims. So we have to have an open heart and an open mind in working with everyone. So
let's go through a scenario. This is so good. This is so great. You got to come in here, Miss Toni. Let's go through a scenario. So how are you reaching people with the don't judge message? I ask this because I'm thinking a scenario. So I'm a victim. And I keep coming to Mom, right? And keep coming and keep coming and keep coming. And Mom's saying, here's money, putting me up. I'm going to different places, giving me shelter, hiding me. Mom took a few hits in the head because I jump in the middle like, wait, Mom, don't touch him. I love him, Mom. That kind of thing. And ultimately then you get the I told you so. And you get the I'm through with it. Then what? How do you address that? Because that's a real scenario, right?
That's a real scenario.
Okay, Bernita, you want to address that, or you want me to?
Y'all could both do it.
Okay.
Let her start, and then you come in the rear.
Okay. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Toni.
Okay, well, she deferred to you.
This is what I'm going to say, and this is with any situation. You can't judge someone. You haven't walked in their shoes.
That's right.
And this is the thing I'm going to tell you. Sometimes you have to help when you don't want to help. You have to go back the 5th, the 6th, and 7th time.
Don't give up on them.
Now, the last thing I'm going to say, if I'm judging from my life, that's not fair. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
We have to love because there are children involved, there are families involved, and yes, it is hard. I'm not saying it is easy. It's hard.
I understand.
But you have to look at the person that's experiencing it firsthand. you know, and that I'm gonna hand it over to Bernita.
Okay,
but that's what I'm going to say. You have to have unconditional love. You have to have unconditional empathy, and you have to go a little farther than you really think you can go.
Thank you.
I'm going to start by saying this. Usually, or more often than not, let me put it that way, it takes a victim of domestic violence going through an incident 7 times before they contact the authorities. Whoa. Now, the authorities does not have to be law enforcement. It could be their pastor. It could be their imam. It could be whomever it is that they consider someone in authority. Yeah. And if those persons don't have the knowledge to help them, to give them the right directions, they go back. Yeah. Okay? Wow. And that's one of the reasons why Project Peacemakers also works with the faith community, to get them to understand their responsibility, because the family is the first institution of God. And if you want to address this issue, you got to start at the family, because you have to start at conception, because children are already being exposed to this while they're in vitro. Yeah. Being developed to come out into this world. Yeah. And people don't understand that. That's right. They did a study several years ago at Stanford University. They had 2 groups. They didn't start it off that way, but it ended up that way. Mm-hmm. They had a group of women, pregnant women, who looked at things like Shirley Temple movies or comedies and things, listen to really nice music and all that type of positive thing, ate right and all of that. Then they had another group that all they did was play the video games, and all they did was listen to the rap music, and all they did, not saying that all rap is bad, because we got some rap Christian music, but
we got that.
The hostels type of stuff. The ones that's like you were talking about, calling people names and all of that. Okay. And when the children were born, they found that the positive group all had positive children, and children that were willing to go to somebody else's arms. But the ones that were exposed to all this negativity, they found them with low birth weight, with health issues. They found some of them with marks on their bodies where their mothers had been kicked or beaten because they were trying to get rid of the children. Because, see, domestic violence is about power and control. Whoever has the power has the control. Mm-hmm. But when the babies are being formed, shaped, the babies have the control. Wow. When the babies are born, the babies have the control. Because the babies have to be fed. Mm-hmm. The babies have to be taken care of. The babies they need all the nurturing. Well, that's taken away from the abuser.
That's amazing.
The time.
Yeah.
So, see, there's a lot of issues that go on.
Yeah. She's talking how to give birth to a God. Go ahead.
It's a lot of issues that surround the issue of domestic violence. It's just not somebody being hit.
That's right.
There's financial abuse, educational abuse, where the abusers won't allow them to go to school to get an education, because they get an education, they can get a job, they can get away from them. So,
and the isolation, right?
Yes, the isolation. Not being allowed to go around their families.
That's right.
Because their families are going to tell them, you need to get out of there. And just like the example that you just gave, Sister Charlene, about going to the family, and the family mother helping you, and then finally throw up their hands, it's because it's not being addressed right. Mm-hmm. Giving them money is not the way to do it. Mm-hmm. Directing them to a program that can give them counseling to help empower them to get out of that situation is the way to do it.
That's right.
Wow. Thank you all for this. I just wanted to say I posted how to give birth to a God, because it's exactly what you're talking about. The minister, we're taught in our classes what to listen to, what we should be reading, how people should even act around us, and how we should treat ourselves when we're expecting. Lisa Mosley has been commenting. Thank you for tuning in, Sister Lisa. She says exactly, some of the women may question their sanity. That was to the point you were making earlier. Some of the women may question their sanity, question themselves, feel shame and embarrassment. We have about 3 more minutes. Let's talk about that. Internalizing what's being done to you as a woman, as a girl. How can, people not do that? What do you suggest for people to be able to not internalize and not blame themselves?
It goes back to what I said earlier, learning how to love themselves. Mm-hmm. If somebody is talking that way to you, then that's not a place for you to be. Mm-hmm. Scripture tells us that we are gifts. Women are gifts. Minister just said it also.
Don't I know it?
Okay.
Me too.
Okay. All right. So we're gifts. You don't destroy a gift. You love a gift. You not necessarily idolize, but you make sure that they are protected and cherished. You see? So if that person that you call yourself in love with is not doing that for you, then that's not a person you should be around.
You deserve more.
That's exactly. You got to step up and say, no, that's not the one.
Yeah.
And stop looking for it in such a young age. When you can take care of yourself, then wait to see who notices you.
Yeah.
And check them out. It's a lot that I could say about this, but we're limited in time.
Well, you come back. Please come back and bring Miss Toni. Come in studio. I want to see you, feel your energy in here too. You know, when you think about it, look, we're in a society that really tells these women and girls that we're nothing without a better half. Now, we're from a faith tradition that we know, taught, and understand that marriage is one half of your faith, and that is very real. But when it's taught and when it's given in the way that the mainstream industry gives it, that you're nothing if you don't have something on your arm, you don't have a man at night, then that's the kind of warped delivery of the message that marriage is one half of your faith. You know?
Say this real quick.
Yeah, you got it.
Steve Harvey.
Hey, Steve.
Okay? He's always talking to the young women about who they are and what they can demand. You know, they need to listen. There's plenty of programs out there, but see, they're so caught up with this person, this bad boy image type thing, until they don't understand. That bad boy really does not need you as a good girl.
That's right. Another, excuse me, please, that creates a competition.
Yeah.
Where women begin to not like each other, disrespect each other, because this gentleman might look at her instead of you. You know, and you see it sometime on some of these shows I happen to have tuned into late at night, where the women are name calling each other, you know, and they're trying to outdress each other, trying to wear what they think is provocative. You know,
to get attention.
To get attention, right.
You deserve more, sister.
Much more.
Much more.
We're going to come back. I think I'm going to run something from Minister Farrakhan on the divine value of women. That's a message that's really key. I'd like Miss Toni to give us 10 seconds, maybe, your closing remark.
Of course.
You have it.
Oh, you want me to? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, a few seconds. Just your final thoughts right here for the show.
My final thought is that we have to have an understanding. Everything that Miss Amirah and Bernita said is absolutely right, and I just want for people to understand. You have to open your heart and open your mind, even though you don't understand it, because something you can say to this person can make them or break them.
Yeah.
They're already very vulnerable, you know.
You're right.
That's it.
Thank you.
Resources are limited, but love is not limited.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Miss Toni. And the website is?
Our website is
www.projectpeacemakers.org.
.org.
Yeah. No, thank you, Miss Bernita. It's projectpeacemakersinc.org. And so that's our time. I want to say thank you both very much.
Thank you.
You're going to come back?
Thank you. Sure. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely, Sister Toni. And bring Toni with y'all. This is Bernita Waqlker. This is Miss Amirah Behaar. On the line is Toni Watson. They're with Project Peacemakers, Inc. and other ventures. I want to say thank you all for coming in and shedding light on this. Thank you, John Parker. Congratulations on the launch of your newspaper. Thank you, Sister Felicia, the poetess, Morris, engineer, owner, everything right here. Thank you also, Sister Sheena. I always forget to say that and I leave. I'm like, I forgot Sheena. Thank you for being here as well. Next week, inshallah, God willing, we're going to have our all-male panel with their perspective as well as focus on self-defense for the sisters. And soon we'll have Dr. Jolie Harris, the food prophet, will be here with us. And Sister Anissa Muhammad of Mosque 27 is going to bring a very special disaster preparedness workshop. These are things coming up for you right here on Liberated Sisters. Listen, if it's impacting our community or can uplift us as a people, let's talk about it. Peace.
Okay. Take care. Thank you so much.